Good evening. It is Sunday evening, about 8 o'clock, and we've been getting a start with harvest 2022. We've just finished this field and moved next door into a little 7-acre field. We're on with cutting winter barley. It's coming off at 16% at the minute, which is grand to be fair, because it's just going to get crushed. In fact, the crusher's coming in tomorrow to crush it. Keep the barley back for themselves to feed the beef cattle on. So yeah, it's just a handy little job. The farm's just a quarter of a mile in that direction, just through the village. So we've just got the little trailer and the little tractor on, just quietly pottering away really. Now I tell you what I will say, today my YouTube notifications have been going absolutely crackers. So the professional struggler mentioned us in a video just this morning. I think the video came out, and I kid you not, I've literally, I would say this morning, I think I was about 2019 subscribers, and about 7:30 there when I last looked, we were heading towards 2,300. So massive thanks to Chris, spot on, really appreciate it, and hope you guys enjoy the videos. They are slightly different in the respect that, you know, Chris works on everything from trucks to cars to vans to plant, whereas yeah, you'll only really ever see Doosan products, whether it's dump trucks, loading shovels, diggers and mini diggers. Yeah, I wasn't able to help him with that compressor fault. We do sell a couple a year maybe. They generally go to the farmers for the umbilical pumping job, but I've had very little to do with them, to be fair. Like you've seen there was a video just not long gone there where I checked one over for PDI, and that's about all I've had to do with them, so I couldn't have helped Chris there. But looks as though he got to the bottom of it anyway. Blocked radiator was the source of the problem, so yeah, all good. Right, this combine's just making its way around the field the first time, so once he gets back around to this cut here, I'll pull this tractor and trailer in and we'll unload him. So the combine is a Tucano 440. We got then. It's 6 metre header, or 6.7 I think, but you can see by the row of straw here, I mean, it's a hell of a straw on. But with that, we had a real sort of shower of rain early this morning, and you can see it's starting to flatten it, so be good to get it off. The sun's gone now behind a load of cloud over here. I think everybody else in the country is enjoying 30-degree heat. It's been about 25 today, and with the rain that we had this morning, it was really heavy in the air till about sort of 3 o'clock. It's still nice now anyway, but it's definitely a bit cooler than it was before the sun went behind those clouds. But yeah, normally we normally fill on the headlands, fill the trailers on the headlands. We don't normally run alongside the combine, just because the length of the spout when it's out, you're sort of either running on the straw or the centre of the tractor will pick it up and it'll ball it up underneath the tractor. So normally we just fill on the headlands. Morning, it's Monday and I've got my loading shovel service all packed in the van. Yeah, it's already 21.5 degrees. I've got my shorts on for the first time this year because yeah, I'm gonna have to have a boiler suit on today because I'll be crawling around under the machine. Yeah, of all the jobs to do in this sort of weather, servicing a loading shovel isn't very appealing right now. But no matter, we'll get it bashed off. It'll be once it's done, isn't it? So yeah, I'll nip down. We're going down South Lakes today, and I don't think there's out else wrong with it. That's a service kit there for a 225, just to drop that off. Apparently, there's another bit to drop off as well, but Dan the parts man isn't in just yet, and there's loads of parts in the front counter there, so I don't know which one's for me. Anyway, we'll go and see if he's in yet. Right, here we are then, South Lakes 420 shovel. This one's a CVT, and I'll be honest with you, this will be the first time I've changed transmission oil in a CVT, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's a fantastic day. It's the bottom of the Lake District over there, some nice views. But yeah, that's my jobs to do pile there, look. So yeah, we'll get a start. I'll tell you what, I've got absolutely no notion today, like no notion at all. My Larlin at home, 3-year-old, he was up during the night, and then the 18-month-old was up during the night. I reckon I've had about 3-4 hours sleep tops. Oh, and it's already 23 degrees. I've got absolutely no go about it. I've had two cups of coffee now, and that gets us kicked up the backside. But yeah, we'll be struggling. There might be a lot of time lapses today rather than a lot of chatting. I better say this as well. Many of you are evidently new to the channel. I think when I looked this morning, it was over 400 plus subscribers, thanks to Chris yesterday. So if you want to know a bit more about me and my background and the work that I do, go and have a look at episode 66, because I talk about sort of how I started and sort of the job that I'm doing now and things like that. So if you want to know a bit more about us, to save us sort of repeating myself, because I did it quite recently, episode 66, go and get a look at that. And yeah, then you might not have so many questions to ask. But yeah, I've got my barley suit on now. Let's go and drop some oil. So I mentioned there, this is a CVT. So it's a DL420 CVT. So what is a CVT? It's basically a vario gearbox. So in the standard 420 shovel, you've got power shift gearbox, and it'll sort of shift up the gears, whereas this is continuously variable gearbox. So it'll kind of it sort of separates the engine speed from the transmission speed, if that makes sense. So as you're driving and you get up to the speed that you want, once that speed's been reached, the engine will kind of like idle back a bit, so it means that the engine doesn't work as hard. In the 420 shovels with the power shift gearbox, you've got the 6-cylinder Scania engine, which is a DC13 engine, and in the CVT machines you've got the 5-cylinder Scania DC9 engine. So because the engine is running at a lower RPM and you've got one less cylinder, you use a lot less fuel. And the fellow was actually telling us the other day how much fuel this machine will use less than the standard 420, and he reckoned it'd be about 100 litres a day. 100 litres a day less fuel than a standard 420 with a power shift gearbox. So the fuel savings are huge. Obviously you've got a bigger cost in buying it. I think the CVT option is about £7 dearer, but 100 litres of diesel at this sort of diesel prices, it'll soon pay for itself. The other kind of thing about it is the feel of it when you're driving it. It'll maybe drive a bit like a hydrostatic machine rather than a power shift, obviously. So there is that sort of different operator experience. But I mean, I think once you get used to it, folks seem to like them. So we might see more of these. But yeah, this is the first time I've changed the transmission oil. It's a 2,000 hour service this, so full engine service, fuel filters, air filters, hydraulic return filters, brake pilot filter and transmission oil. Axle oils is every 1500, so we don't need to worry about those today. But yeah, I'll get this engine oil dropped. There's a lot less engine oil in this. This will be 36 litres compared to the 6-cylinder, which is about 46 litres, so a little bit less oil to throw around, hopefully. Just dropping this engine oil here and changing the engine oil filter in there. Just looking about here. Is it me? Do we have a fuel leak on the tank? And does it look like that's cracked? Can you see? Maybe zoom in. Now, I know when I changed that tank on that 550 shovel a few weeks ago, well, a month or two ago now, a lot of you said in the comments after the video was what a daft place to put a fuel tank on a shovel. And in actual fact, when I've had a look elsewhere, in fact I was on the quarry servicing that 300 and there was a Komatsu there with the crusher team. And that Komatsu shovel, it had the fuel tank at the back. Volvo shovels have the fuel tank at the back. In actual fact, the Komatsu shovel, the fuel tank sat lower than the back axle did. Whereas on this machine, in that 550, the axle and the transmission casings sit lower than the fuel tank, but looks to me like we've got another cracked weld. And I said to you in the video as well, I've never, 13 years of work with Doosan products, never seen a cracked fuel tank. Looks like my luck's changing. And maybe we'll need that frame again. I'll have a crack with the quarry manager, see what the score is there. Oh, I tell you what. Oh dear. Right, we'll carry on anyway. We'll get this engine oil filter changed and I'll pull the engine oil spinner out. So that's fuel filters changed. For anybody that hasn't seen, the fuel system works unusually, I'll say, on these Scania or these shovels, or anything with a Scania engine in on the Doosan side. I'll just put that over there without spilling it. There's about £15 worth of diesel in there, just gonna go in the waste. Anyway, fuel comes from the tank into the, we call them the pepper pots. So these are the Scania fuel filters. Comes into this chamber here, gets filtered and then through into this chamber and then out and into the high pressure fuel pump. And then the fuel, the fuel that isn't used basically comes back through the Doosan filter, which is the water and fuel separator filter. Yep, the water and fuel is separated after it's been through the engine. it works. Can't say I've had any issues with burnt out injectors or anything like that, so it is what it is. Something to watch though is when you're changing these filters, when you pull this filter out, the fuel that isn't filtered immediately passes through into this chamber. So what you have to do is, I've got this suction pump, and I suck all the fuel out of there and give it a good clean out, because I've shown you in a previous video that there is sediment that'll sit at the bottom of there, and when you're pulling the filters out, that'll wash through into the other side. So I'm always really careful just to make sure that I keep everything as clean as possible on this side. So yeah, now to bleed the fuel up, and again, this can be a 5-minute job or a 45-minute job. It just depends. It just depends. So we'll find out anyway. I'll put it on another time lapse for you. I am feeling the heat today. I tell you, I knew it was gonna be hot today, so I thought I'll get myself away early from home and get myself away sharp and sort of try and get the worst of it done before 10 o'clock when it gets a bit too hot, and yeah, like I say, last night was not good, and I was up at 5:30, 5:45 this morning, but not for the right reasons anyway, Lal. And oh, the hardship you face sometimes. Anyway, enough of me moaning on. I'm not normally a moany person. I'm gonna bleed this fuel through. I knew that was going to be hard work when I stripped it down. The paper element filter that normally goes around the outside, you change that every 1,000 hours. Now I've just started looking after this machine. This will be the second time I've serviced it, because the last service I did the axles and engine service. So yeah, that has never been cleaned in the 2,000 hours it has been on this planet. And yeah, it's this sort of horrible carbony, sticky nastiness that collects on the outside of there. So anyway, at least I know next time when I come to do it, there's a paper element filter there, and it just lines the wall. So all you do is peel the element filter out, give it a bit spruce up with the old EGR cleaner, and put it back together again. God, that was a pain. Right, I'll put this spinner back in, put some engine oil in it, and then we've just hydraulic filters and pilot filters to do next. It's 1 o'clock. Update, I've changed the transmission oil, and yeah, turns out my son has got chickenpox. My wife's away for the week, pretty much. I think she's back on Thursday, so childcare is a problem. My mum stepped up this afternoon and the father-in-law, so it looks as though I'm gonna have to take a couple of days off to look after the Larlin that's poorly. So yeah, we might miss out on Wednesday's video, and we'll see how we go for Friday's video. But aye, just couldn't plan it, could you? Heat wave. Kids aren't grand with heat, are they? Chicken pox. Wife's away. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, I suppose that explains why last night was such a blooming nightmare. Right, I'll get this service rattled off now. Return filters, pilot filter, cab filters. That's all I've got left. So, put my head down, get this done, and I can fire up the van, get the aircon on, get away back up the road. Never mind. Bye, what a tremendous view there is there, look. If you look that way, you're probably looking out towards the Isle of Man. Marvellous. Anyway, back to reality. Yeah, 2 return filters. So on the machine you've got a suction filter under there, suction filter under there, and 2 return filters here. And here, straightforward enough, ring of bolts, pop the lid off, there's a spring and like a relief valve type of thing, gauze filter, and then the main filter, which looks like that. And yeah, what I always try and do is make as little mess as possible, so we'll see how we come on today. Right, there we go. Not the best one I've ever done for cleanliness, but it's certainly not bad. If you don't let the air out of the tank, because the tank's got a pressure in it, you don't let the air out, when you take that lid off, you'll just get a flood of oil, and what a mess it makes. I have made that mistake once when I've been in a hurry. And I've also dropped bolts down there. Always try and keep all of them. Right, what's left to do? Add blue filter, 2 cab filters, pilot filter. We're getting there. So here's the brake pilot filter. Normally on the machines with the power shift transmission, it's sort of in round the corner of there. You have to take that toolbox off and take that plate off and sort of reach in. But because there's so much transmission in there, there's no space for it, and they've mounted it out here, and they've obviously continued that design on the Dash 7 shovel. So this one's a Dash 5, and then the next generation is -7. So again, with this filter, it's always best practice just to let the air out of the tank if you do this one first before you do the return filters, because again, you'll take this off and there will be any amount of oil coming out of it at a really strong pace. So yeah, save yourself a shower of oil. Just nip up the steps and let the oil out the tank. Oh, right, I'll need 2 hands now, so I'll set you down. Right, AdBlue filter, it lives in here. It's just behind here. There, that's the top of it anyway. Unscrew that, put a new filter in it. All the filters that I've got with me changed. Always have a nice clean rag because we know how fussy AdBlue is. We don't want to contaminate it, so yeah, I always keep it clean. Oh god, couldn't write it. This is the cover that goes over the AdBlue filter and it seals it, obviously. Now, what you have to watch out for is this rubber O-ring here. You do get a new one in the AdBlue filter kit. And I noticed when I took the cover off, the seal was missing. So I managed to reach my hand up there and I got it flicked off, and like I say, you get a new one with the filter kit. But because it's sent in a plastic bag, it gets all twisted and distorted, and you know, if this was a oil-based thing, you'd put a couple of blobs of grease on there and you would you know, the grease would stick it into place until you got it screwed on, whereas this, it just wants to jump out. Oh, this is going to be a fight now. Right, that's all my filters done. I'm just having a quick walk around it now just to make sure I've not forgotten anything. There's a door catch I need to fit in there. But oh hey, what a performance that seal was to get right. That took about half an hour messing on. I think I've got it right. I'll know when I start it and the machine's up to temperature, because if it's leaking I'll get a AdBlue pressure low fault on it. And you know, I was in 2 minds whether or not to bother changing it anyway, because there was an issue with this machine and it had a new AdBlue pump fitted about 500 hours ago, so I was in 2 minds whether or not to bother, because it would have had a new AdBlue filter in it. But I thought, no, I'll keep everything sort of up to date, so when I come back and service it next time I know where I'm up to. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to start it up now and have a walk around it, make sure there's nothing leaking, and then I'll leave it running, and that'll warm the transmission oil up a little bit. Transmission will be to calibrate, and that'll be the job done. Right, that was not fun, and that hat is absolutely soaking. Ugh. Yeah, transmission calibrated, levels checked. When I started it up there, the air conditioning belt was squealing, so I've tightened that up. Yeah, and I fitted this, fitted that catch as well. So that is all. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure I'll be working tomorrow or Wednesday by the sound of it. Just have to see. We'll just have to see. So for now, thanks very much for watching. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. For more bits and pieces throughout the week, have a look at Ali's Digger Diary on Instagram. And I've just set up TikTok as well, so I'm new to TikTok, and I'll be honest with you, I was absolutely baffled by it when I first opened it up, but it seems to have got a measure of what I'm interested in now, so it's starting to show us stuff that I'm interested in. So anyway, I'm hot and bothered, I'm really hungry, probably haven't drank enough water, so we'll leave it at that for today. Have a good evening, stay cool, and yeah, probably going to be Thursday when I see you. Cheers guys, bye.